Hey look, we're playing Fluffles again. Owl about that! You know what, that wasn't nearly as funny as I hoped it would be. Just get to the video, get out of here, and pretend like that didn't happen. Hello folks, I'm the Ghost of Knife and welcome back to more Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, and as you see on your screen today, we are playing Fluffles. In the past few months, I haven't really had time to play Yu-Gi-Oh! There's been a lot going on in my personal life, which I'm going to be talking about at the end of the video, so that way all the people who want to see Yu-Gi-Oh! Can just enjoy that content. But because I haven't had time to play, my rank has plummeted all the way back down into bronze. So I made a post which had a little bit of a poll, and the poll was, what decks do you want to see me climb with? And since we're climbing out of bronze, and the current winner of the poll was Fluffles, today we are playing Fluffles. It's a really cool rogue deck that's a lot of fun to play. The basic idea of the deck is that you use these Fluffle monsters and these Edge Imp monsters to fusion summon the Frightful monsters. This deck is very, very good at going second and OTKing your opponent. That's pretty much the deck's main strength. And with the current meta, the way it's shifted with Snake Eyes and all these other crazy decks that you really want a lot of interaction with, Fluffle kinda suffers because it's a deck that has to have a lot of different cards in it, and because of that, it leaves very little room for interaction. So can Fluffle hold up in bronze? Let's find out as we get into those games. Alright, let's get right into game one. Now I know you're seeing that I chose to go first. I'm not gonna lie, that's just rust with the deck. I completely forgot this is a go second deck, and this is one of the first games I actually played for the session, and I just did not remember how this deck works. I was like, yeah, I'll just go first, it'll be fine. And then I realized what I was doing, and I was like, oh, no, I wanted to go second, especially with stuff like Scythe in my deck. Whoops. So, this isn't gonna be the prettiest game of Fluffle, but it will definitely be a game. As you will see, we're going to go and start with Owl. I'm going to use this to try to bait out Ash. There's no Ash, so I'm going to go ahead and grab Polymerization. We're going to use Fright for Patchwork to grab the other Poly from the deck and grab the Chain. I'm going to go ahead and Polymerization here using Chain and the Owl. And instead of making Whale like you would typically do, I'm going to make Kraken because it's just got a nice amount of defense, and that's really the best thing I can do. I want to set up my graveyard so I can play this Fright for Fusion, which I'm going to grab with the Chain. We're going to set it in perm, and we're going to pass. From this position, I have a negate, I have a pretty nice defensive wall, and if I don't have the negate, I at least have a wheel I can use with Scythe, or a wheel I can summon with Scythe, and then I can maybe pop the Kraken and pop whatever I need to from their board. My opponent is going to be playing Strength in Unity? Okay. If they Virtual Fusion summon a Blue Eyes or Dark Magician, they can banish my stuff. You can send it face up from the field of the graveyard, then add a basically Blue Eyes or Dark Magician to the hand, okay? And then they immediately go Rage with Eyes of Blue. Banish this card, and as many cards as possible from your field, hand, and graveyard. Face down. And if you do, special summon 3 Blue Eyes from your deck. What? So they're just gonna banish everything? When you're a really big fan of Seto Kaiba and his 3 Blue Eyes. And you don't even have the promo one, it's just like the newer one, which honestly, let's not lie, this is like the ugliest Blue Eyes in my opinion. And then my opponent runs into Kraken, and from here they're about to end their turn, so I'm going to go ahead and use Scythe Sheep. We're going to go ahead and go to Cruel Whale, the star of the Fluffle deck. We're going to pop our Imperm with one of their Blue Eyes, because I literally have no reason not to. And from this position, I'm trying to figure out exactly what I want to do here. I've got a Fright for Fusion, so I'm going to use Kraken, and I'm going to misread my cards. And I'm going to Fright for Fusion, thinking I'm summoning Wolf. I'm using Kraken and everything from my graveyard to summon Sabertooth. Now, I know what you're thinking. Some of you Fluffle experts are going to go, why did we do this? Pretty simple. I thought Sabertooth was Wolf, which you need sabers to summon. Not Sabertooth. And if I would have summoned Wolf from this position, I just win. because I give this thing 3,500 attack and I attack them like 5 times. But I misread Wolf and Sabretooth, and I got rid of everything for Sabretooth, which was horrible. If I hadn't have done that, I could have bred for fusioned Whale with like Chain and Owl and popped another one of their cards, and maybe popped this Whale, buffed a monster, and then, you know, not other nonsense, but I didn't read the cards, which explains the cards. So we're gonna go ahead and buff Sabretooth. I'm going to attempt to attack both Blue Eyes, only attack one, and then immediately realize my mistake, and I'm like, screw it, we're just gonna attack with Whale, and we're just gonna have a big, indestructible Sabretooth on my board. And hopefully something nice will happen. My opponent passes, and I'm like, okay. And then my opponent just kind of scoops. I guess from this position they weren't happy, they just couldn't really deal with Sabretooth. All I had was a Penguin, and I was just going to keep attacking with Sabretooth and hopefully draw something else. Doesn't matter. Wasn't the prettiest Fluffle game, but hey, we got there with Sabretooth, which is always kind of funny. Okay, so our opponent has let to go first this time, which is much better, and oh my god, this hand is pretty. I've got an Abiru if they want to do a bunch of summons, which I can destroy with Whale if I need to. This is a pretty decent hand. Patchwork can give me some other nonsense. And then I immediately realized I don't have any Fluffles. So I was like, okay, well, it's fine. Because my opponent summons, what the hell is Orbital 7? What is this card? It's ugly as hell, I'll tell you that. I don't like the way it looks. It actually bothers me. Get that nonsense out of here. Cover that up, please. Thank you very much. When this card is flipped face up, they did not flip it face up. They normal summoned it in attack mode, which is even more confusing. Place a You Got It boss counter on it. Great counter name. Why not? You can remove all of them, and it gets 2,000. Its attack becomes 2,000. And if you change its attack, it can't attack your opponent directly, and it's sent to the graveyard. You contribute it for some Photonic Galaxy stuff. Okay. Weird card. So first we're going to use Bear to go ahead and grab a toy vendor, and this is where all the Fluffle things start. If you've never seen a Fluffle deck, you're about to see exactly what they can do thanks to the nonsense card known as Toy Vendor. We're going to set it with the Bear straight from the deck, and then we're going to activate it, and then afterwards what we can do is we can discard a card from our hand to draw a card, show it, and if it's a Fluffle monster we can special summon it, otherwise we discard it. And if it's sent to the graveyard from anywhere, you can add a Edgem Sabers or any Fluffle monster from your deck to your hand. So we're going to go ahead and use Vendor's Effect. We're going to discard the Sabers because we can bring it back. We're going to go ahead and grab the Fluff. We're going to go ahead and draw the Penguin, which we can send special summon. We're going to use Patchwork to grab our Polymerization and grab our Edgem Scythe in case I need to use it on their turn. We're going to polymerize the Penguin and the Edgem Chain, thinking that maybe I'm going to need to have something in my hand, which is why I've got Edgem Scythe, just in case. We're going to go ahead and use the Penguin's effect. We're also going to chain the Cruel Whale's effect, and we're going to chain Edgem Scythe, or Edgem Chain's effect, which is going to grab us any Frightfur card, which is going to be Patchwork in case we need it for next turn. We're going to use Whale to pop the Toy Vendor in their back row. Penguin is going to allow us to draw 2 cards. We're going to ditch the Triple Tactics Thrust, and we just did a lot of nonsense. Like I said earlier, when Toy Vendor is destroyed, we can go ahead and add any Edgem Sabers or Fluffle monsters from our deck to our hand, and this is not a once per turn because Toy Vendor is incredible. We're going to go ahead and draw into a dog, or I think add a dog from the deck. We're going to go ahead and oversummon the dog, grab the Dolphin, in case we want to try to grab Toy Vendor again. We're going to go ahead and special summon the Edgem Sabers, because I forgot Frightfur Fusion does not let you do it from the field, it's only from the graveyard, and I'm like, cool, whatever. We're going to go and use the Edgem Sabers from the field with a Bear. We're going to summon the Daredevil, and Daredevil is perfect here. We're going to use Cruel Whale's effect to pitch the Kraken, make Whale a little bit bigger, run over their monster with Frightfur Daredevil, which lets us do 1,000 damage to our opponent, and then with the dog and the Cruel Whale, we're going to clean up our opponent, but they don't want to see Cruel Whale win the game. They want to get out of here, and that is just one of the crazy ways you could FTK with this deck, using Daredevil and Cruel Whale Gosh, this deck is so much fun when it works. Alright, who's ready to see us go second and try to FTK again? I know I am, as my opponent has the Dark Magician mate. They're going to go ahead and summon the Maiden with Eyes of Blue. Bronze. Everybody loves blue eyes here. I'm going to go ahead and activate the Toy Vendor. We're going to go ahead and use Actually, I'm going to use Patchwork first, because I'm going to grab the Polymerization and the Sabers, which I can try to bring back if I need to. We're going to go ahead and use Toy Vendor to dump the Sabers, try to grab some action. We grab the Fluffle Dog. We can immediately special summon that bad boy. Grab the Penguin from our deck, which we can Polymerization with the Edge Imp Chain. Just kidding, I'm going to use the dog because I don't rate my penguin in this situation. I don't know why. It's fine. We're going to go ahead and grab the Cruel Whale, the star of the Fluffle deck. We're going to go ahead and pop the Toy Vendor and their Maiden with Eyes of Blue. We're going to also chain the Edge of Chain so we can go ahead and grab the Fight for Repair. Because I think I just kind of misread the card in the moment. It's fine. I'm going to go use Toy Vendor. We're going to grab a Dolphin. We're going to dump the Daredevil, use the Repair onto the Daredevil to bring back the Chain. And then we're going to fight for Fusion because I misread my cards again. It's fine, who cares? We're going to use these Sabers and the Dog for the Wolf, who can attack twice with the Chain and the Whale and go for a very nice, clean, and quick FTK. That is how the Wolf FTK works. Man, I wish I would have done that properly the first time. Alright, hey look, I chose to go second. Who wants to see Fluffles do another FTK? I know a lot of these replays are kind of repetitive, as my opponent's going to try to do some Cyberdark nonsense here. They're going to go Cyberdark Cannon, which Cyberdark and Cyber Dragons is kind of a go second deck as well, so I kind of think I've miffed their game plans. They're going to go ahead and do some nonsense. They're going to grab the Edge. Who really cares? And I know these replays are a bit repetitive, but this is just how the full game plan works. You want to go second and try to get rid of your opponent on turn 2. Just do nice, quick, clean games. So we're going to go ahead and use the Bear to grab Toy Vendor. My opponent is going to activate this Cyberdark Invasion, which lets them destroy our cards by getting rid of their equipped cards, which is an interesting thing to play. Maybe they're going to do something like the Whale when I summon it, I'm not quite sure. They also have the Cyberdark Inferno, so their effect monster can't be destroyed by my card effects, and can't be targeted either, which is a bit rough to deal with, but it's fine. I can just walk over most of their stuff anyways if I need to. I'm going to go ahead and activate the Cyberdark Invasion. We're going to go ahead and grab the Toy Vendor. We're going to flip our Toy Vendor. Don't pop Toy Vendor. Don't do it. No. Don't. It's a mistake. Shouldn't have done that. My opponent draws a card with their cannon, which is funny, but irrelevant. We're going to grab the Dolphin. We're going to summon the Dolphin. And then guess what? We're going to use Dolphin's effect to go ahead and reset the Toy Vendor. Ditch the dog because I don't really need it. We're going to go ahead and activate the Toy Vendor. Discard Sabers. Get a Fight for Patchwork, which we can't use. It's okay. I've got a second one in hand. We're going to go ahead and grab Polymerization. We're going to grab Scythe in case I need it on their turn. Doesn't really matter because we're going to go ahead and polymerize our Penguin and our Chain. And you might have seen, you probably know what's going to happen next. We're going to use Whale, pop the Toy Vendor, and I'm going to go ahead and pop their monster because it's not protected by anything, so their Inferno doesn't do anything. They can't really do anything with their trap. We're going to change Chain on top of it, which I shouldn't have done. I don't really remember how the Chain actually works, but it's fine. It's whatever. It worked out. We got our Fusion. And from there, our opponent's just like, yeah, no, you got it. So from there, I can go ahead and fight for Fusion, and I believe I can go into Wolf. And at that rate, it's just over. All right, here we go. The game to get into Silver. My opponent is going first, which is perfect for us because we're going to go second deck. Oh, boy. And my opponent's a go first deck. It's fine. It's fine. I just drew Lightning Storm, so who cares? I'm going to go ahead and Lightning Storm all your nonsense. My opponent is going to Max C. Annoyingly enough. I'm going to go ahead and Lightning Storm their board, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you what my mistake was here. I'm going to go ahead and Thrust, grabbing Harpy's Feather Duster, because I see my opponent is playing Canadia. They're playing Paleozoics. In my mind's eye, because of Max C, I want to reduce the number of summons that I have. But how Paleozoics work is right now they are basically defenseless. There is really nothing they can do even with Max C unless they have something like Nibiru. I'm afraid of Nibiru because it completely hoses me in this situation, but my big mistake was just not going for it. This is a go second deck. My opponent has a very, very good grindy deck that just will make my life miserable if I don't go ahead and go for it. But in this situation, I try to minimize the maxi draws. I'm going to go ahead and use Toy Vendor to pitch Toy Vendor, grab a Patchwork, throw that away, which really, really hurts. We're going to go ahead and grab a dog. Use the dog, grab a penguin, and what I should do is I should use polymerization and try to like get Wolf off and go for some sort of big attack combo or something. But I don't. I go for Daredevil out of fear because I'm like, yeah, I just don't want to give him that many draws. My opponent is going to set a loss to win because that's really all they can do from this position. We're going to use Penguin. Draw 2, get rid of the wings. I'm going to try to use wings to go ahead and banish this penguin to draw to the card, just trying to draw into some more action. We're going to get rid of the Toy Vendor. And, yeah. I think even if I would have summoned Wolf, I wouldn't have been able to win, because I think I get, like, what, 3 attacks? And that's it. And that's just not really enough. And even if I've used Wolf, I did not draw into anything that I need. Losing one of my Patchworks so early is backbreaking. What I really needed here was the fusion, so I could try to go into some more nonsense and try to win the game. But as you see, we didn't get it. Hopefully this game's not going to go on too much longer. So I'm going to go ahead and get in some free damage here because my opponent's life points are pretty low. And I'm like, you know what? Why not? I've got a Harpy's Feather Duster for my thrust, which might have been a bad grab, but whatever. My opponent's going to Lost Wind my Daredevil, and I'm like, it's okay, who cares? They're going to go ahead and use their Paleozoic effect. Summon back Canadia. And it's like, okay, cool. They're going to summon Daredevil. Oh. You have a level 2, which goes into... Oh, no. So even if I wolfed, they could have destroyed Wolf anyways. And they're going to go ahead and attack Fluffle Dog. And I'm like, okay, not that big of a... Not my bad, they're going to attack Daredevil because that's the obvious target. I'm going to go and do a little bit more damage because why not? And I'm like, okay, well, what can they do after that? Oh, no. Don't. Please don't. Ugh. Zeus. So they can just clear my board twice. Oh, look, new Zeus animation. Not gonna lie, I hate it. It's a crappy animation. Not because my opponent's doing it, I just really don't like it. It looks too anime for me. So I'm gonna try to do something here. I'm gonna use Dog to grab Owl. I'm gonna go ahead and use the Sheep to go ahead and try to go into SP Little Knight. And I'm not gonna lie, I haven't used Little Knight a lot, so I kind of misplay here. My opponent activates Lost Wind. I think this is the Little Knight primary banish effect. It's not, it's the quick effect, which is the thing I wanted to do after they activated Zeus, but doesn't matter. I misplayed Little Knight, they get their Lost Wind, and I'm like, great. There's just not much I can do here. My opponent is going to attack with Zeus, they play their second face down card, and they've just got a lot going on. They've got Lost Wind, which works on special summon monsters, so I'm like, okay, well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and use the Fluffle Owl to try and stop their... As you can see, my opponent has a deck full of monster effect negations. As you can see, my Owl has been negated, and I'm just out of gas. I have drawn incredibly poorly. I have misplayed some of my most powerful monsters. And honestly, this game just hasn't gone in my favor. And what's going to happen is my opponent is just going to grind out all my monster effects by constantly negating them, and then just beating me down with Zeus. So from this position, I've just had enough. They're going to activate Canadia, and I'm going to activate my ability to pick up my cards and go home. For a first encounter Paleozoics, this was pretty miserable. Not gonna lie. I did not get into silver. If anything, I just got into a state of rage from this, which is kind of depressing. I know there's a lot of things I could have done differently in that game, probably, but hindsight's 20/20. Hopefully the next game will go a little bit better. Okay. Trying to get to silver again, and I know what you're thinking. Why did I choose to go first? I wasn't paying attention, and I let the timer run out, and it selected me to go first. So, let's see if I can win this game going first. So I'm like, okay, this sucks, but if I win this, I go to silver, and I can just stop for now, and I can go do something else. So I'm like, alright, cool, we're gonna go ahead and just do some nonsense. We're gonna go and use Fight for Patchwork in my... the bug. This is a pretty back-breaking card. This is really hard for Fluffles to deal with, so I'm gonna try to do what I can to play around it. We're gonna grab the polymerization, and instead of grabbing chain like I normally would, I'm gonna grab sight here. We're gonna use the dog to grab the bear. We're gonna use the bear to grab the toy vendor. We're gonna use the toy vendor, and we're gonna discard, I think the dog here is what I discarded, because I want the patchwork for next turn. We're gonna grab dolphin from our deck. I'm not going to summon it, I'm just gonna let it sit in my hand here. So because I'm trying to avoid my opponent getting a bunch of cards with back C, I'm gonna go ahead and end my turn there, because I can use sight to blow up something if I really need to. My opponent sets 3 and plays Dark Beckoning Beast. This could be anything. Excuse me? I didn't expect to see the Phantom Beast or the Sacred Beast with Dark Beckoning Beast, but this is the archetype for that card, so... Sacred Beast, let's do this, okay? Our opponent's going to be playing Opening of the Spirit Gates, which is kind of rough. They're going to use their extra normal summon of Dark Beckoning Beast to summon the Chaos Summoning Beast. It's the Chaos Summoning Beast, and they're going to summon Raviel before they can activate any of their traps. I'm going to go ahead and activate my Scythe. Fusing Penguin and Scythe to summon the Whale. And from here, we're going to use the Whale to pop our Toy Vendor and their Raviel, and also we're going to get a card with the Penguin, which is fantastic. I mean, we're going to get 2 cards. We're going to go ahead and ditch the Toy Vendor so I can get a little bit more action on this. So I'm going to go ahead and get 2 Toy Vendor procs. So we can add 2 more cards. I think one of them I grab is Sabers. I'm going to grab Sheep. I'm not quite sure why I did that. I'm not going to lie. And then we grab Sabers. I think I misread Sheep. I don't remember exactly what I was doing. I'm not going to lie. Fluffles is hard, okay? There's a lot going on. My opponent's going to grab a card. They're going to go ahead and grab this Field Spell, which does stuff if I was worried about it. But we're going to go ahead and use the Fight for Patchwork. My opponent is going to activate this Awakening of the Sacred Beast. So there are a Sacred Beast deck, terrifyingly enough. But it does nothing right now. So I'm like, yeah, okay. Patchwork, grab the other Poly. Grab the other chain. From here, we're in a very strong position. I'm going to go ahead and use the Dolphin to grab back a Toy Vendor, because why not? It's one of my best cards. I'm going to go ahead and activate the Toy Vendor. I'm going to go ahead and discard the Owl, grab a Penguin. I'm going to go ahead and special summon it. My bad, never mind. I'm going to go ahead and use Polymerization instead. I do mistime my Cruel Whale here. It's whatever, who cares? My opponent is going to Chain Hole in response, which is going to negate the Whale, which means it kind of worked out that I whaled here, but... not going to worry about it. They do go ahead and banish a card from my hand. They banish the Sheep, which is the best case scenario in this situation. Imperm would have also been an easy banish, but I just had so many cards that hitting what they wanted to from my hand was really hard. We're going to go ahead and special summon the Chimera with Polymerization using a monster from field and 2 from hand. I believe it was Sabers and Penguin. Go ahead and use Sabers' effect to go ahead and polymerize. Gonna go ahead and special summon it. I think I wasn't thinking when I did that, because I went ahead and brought back Sabers because I was like, yeah, I need this. And then I remembered I had Chain in hand, which I wanted to hit with Polymerization anyway, so I just kind of wasted the Sabers, but who cares? Gonna go ahead and activate Whale's effect. We're gonna pop the Toy Vendor, pop their monster, and from here my opponent just scoops, because from this position I can go ahead and pop the Toy Vendor, we can get our fusion back, and with this, we have not only come back from me being an idiot and making myself go first, but we have also gotten back into silver. And with those games out of the way, our time with Fluffles has yet again come to a close. It's been quite a while since I've played this deck, and I will say, I do enjoy playing Fluffles. It's a fun little deck that can do a lot of nifty things, but I do have some thoughts on the state of Fluffles in the current meta. Even though it is a very, very, very solid go second OT game plan with stuff like Whale, with stuff like Wolf, with stuff like even Tiger to a degree, Fluffles have really fallen off of the meta, and even in the past they were rogue at best. But with decks like Snake Eyes and Center Ion and Horus and even Yubel, interaction has become more and more important in the decks you play, and Fluffles just don't really have a lot of room for interaction. For all the really fun and kooky and powerful things they can do, it requires a drastic amount of deck space. Like, you need 3 toy vendors, you need 3 patchworks, you need 3 agents chains. The mandatory requirements for all of your main deck cards leaves very little room for interaction, even for a go second deck. Like, yeah, we have Nibiru, yeah, we have 2 Imperms, yeah, we have Lightning Storm, but that's really all we've got. We rely so heavily on our Fluffle combos to get us there that, in my opinion, Fluffles just can't really reliably climb the ladder anymore. And if they can, it requires the hands of a pilot far greater than me for this deck. Even with all that said, I do think that this deck is an absolute blast to play, and it's cheap enough that I do think most people could very easily get into the deck. You don't need the thrusts, you don't need the talent. I do think Imperm's a little important, I do think Lightning Storm's a little important, but all you really need are like the main Fluffle fusion monsters, and maybe Guardian Chimera, and the rest of the extra deck can be whatever you want. And because of that, I do think this deck is very cheap and very affordable to get into, and I definitely think you should at least try out the Fluffles. Alright, with all the fun Yu-Gi-Oh stuff out of the way, let's go ahead and address the state of my channel, because I said I'd do that in this video. As many of you seen, I haven't been able to put out a video in the past 2 weeks, and cards on the table is just because I can't. My living situation has drastically changed since when I first started this channel. I live with 3 people. One of them works from home and absolutely needs top-notch internet to do their job correctly. So I can't really record games and stuff when they're working, otherwise it affects their job. And I'm just really not comfortable doing that for my silly little YouTube channel. I don't want to affect my roommates' and friends' livelihood just so I can put out a funny little video for the internet. And when they're not working, other people are home from work and they're trying to relax and watch those shows themselves, and I don't really want to be a burden on them. And because of all these different factors, and even my job, which I work overnight, so when I'm awake, everyone else is asleep, making it even harder to record because I don't want to be too loud and wake other people up. So my time frames for recording have been drastically reduced, and because of that, my ability to put out content has been massively impacted. I'm gonna be honest, I just don't have the ability to put out a video every other day like I was in the past. Realistically, I think the best I could do is 1 video a week, maybe with my current recording timeframes. So, I'm sorry if you were used to the old schedule, but things have to change. Maybe in the future, when my life settles down and my living situation kind of smooths over a little bit more, maybe I get into a little bit more of a comfortable situation, I can go back to uploading more often. But right now, this is just the best I can do. I apologize to people who this might turn them off and make them want to unsubscribe. If you do subscribe and stick around, I do really appreciate it, because I do really enjoy making these silly little videos of stuff like Yu-Gi-Oh! And other games I enjoy, and hopefully making your day a little bit more fun or silly or whatever I do for you. So, thank you for tuning in. As you heard, we're doing 1 video a week. Hopefully, if I'm lucky, I can do 2 videos, so maybe keep an eye out every other day. Keep your eyes on my feed, because you never know when maybe, possibly, a second video might drop. So again, thank you for tuning into this episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. I will see you folks when we go from silver to gold.